MGoRadio 12.5. Michigan
11,
is about
I think.
to take on what? 11?
Yeah, you gave us another season. Is it already? Wait, this is right sophomore year? Are we like,
Anyway.
is this the year? Okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right.
Doesn't matter. It's tradition to get it wrong. Michigan is preparing to take on Wisconsin, but first we want to thank Underground Printing for starting this and making it all possible. Stop by and pick up some gear. Excuse me, I have to clear my throat. Check them out at ugpmichiganapparel.com or check out our selection of shirts on the mgoblogstore.com. We'd also like to thank our associate sponsors, Peak Wealth Management, Matt Demers, Realtor and Lender, Ann Arbor Elder Law, Michigan Law Grad, Human Element, Sharon's Heating and Air Conditioning, the Squire Brothers, Winewood Organics, Community Pest Solutions, Radicke Oral Surgery, Long Road Distillers, and Signalwire, where we are currently recording. All right, so Wisconsin brings in Luke Fickell, the best possible hire. The guy is literally the most successful group of five coach of all time. He got Cincinnati to a 4-team playoff. He was like 58-17 at Cincinnati. He coached at Ohio State. He played at Ohio State. He knows the league. He knows Wisconsin. And he comes in, and the first thing he does is hire Phil Longo. And Phil Longo may be a good coach. I don't know. I'm not saying anything bad about Phil Longo. But what I am saying is that there's a phrase in the first paragraph of his Wikipedia profile that tells you all you need to know about the fit Phil Longo and Wisconsin, and that is he is an air raid guy. He is an air raid practitioner, quotes the Wikipedia. What are you doing?
Well, all right, so let's see who Fickell is. Remember who Fickell is, right? He is the heir, at least out of the coaches that exist today, of both Jim Tressel and Mark D'Antonio. Those are the guys that he's got their coaching staffs. He came up under them. He learned under them. He has their connections. So when you talk about, like, where does he come from, right? And he runs like a D'Antonio-esque quarters with Mike Tressel as his defensive coordinator. And what do those guys do? They all ran like a very vanilla 1990s offense. So I think he just kind of came in thinking, this is the mistake I can't make, right?
Well, he made the mistake that you can't make because Wisconsin has an identity, right? They have the corn-fed farm boys. They have the 250-pound running back. They have a quarterback who throws it maybe 12 times a game. And that's what they do. But, you know, they kind of got a little bigger for their britches. They brought in Graham Mertz, which was a previous coach's decision. That's not on Fickell. But, you know, Chris is like, oh, we're going to open it up. It's like, no, you have a ceiling as a program. Accept the ceiling. Accept the ceiling.
Well, you do have to kind of shoot the moon now because the ceiling for Wisconsin, I'm just, you know, if we're talking meta here, the ceiling for Wisconsin is not going to make you the second team in the Big Ten at the end of the year. It could make you the top team in the Big Ten West, but that doesn't count anymore.
What it could do is it could, you know, get you to 9-3, get you to 10-2. I mean, those Wisconsin teams went to Rose Bowls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have their ceiling is we make the playoff occasionally, right? It's
not.
And then, you know, chip and share, whatever happens there. But you can't do this at Wisconsin. Where's your NIL? You can't do it. You have to just get the farm boys and make them large and do the things. And I don't know. I get mad.
Yeah,
I get mad when
I'm
Nebraska
done defending it.
Doing option stuff. I get mad when Wisconsin isn't running counter GT 64 times in a row. Anyway, Alex, how you doing? You haven't said anything.
I'm just letting you go off about the state of affairs.
I mean, it's, I don't know, gets my goose. All right, let's start with the Wisconsin offense. So it's a little uncertain exactly who's going to play where because the offensive line has been racked with injury and disappointing play. So they've been moving guys around. They had a bye week at the same time Michigan did. So they've reshuffled this line. So whatever you got in the previous two games is not what you're going to get in this game. And then Billy Edwards tried to play against Maryland, got in a series, and then decided that he couldn't go. And his backup, Danny O'Neill, told the assembled media on like Tuesday that he was getting most of the reps in practice. So I think we're probably going to see Danny O'Neill again. So you have Alex, tell us about Danny O'Neill.
So he was a true freshman starter at San Diego State last year, and that was a bad San Diego State team. They had a losing. I think they were 3-9. It was year one of Sean Lewis. Just no talent on that team, and he showed a little bit there. And so Wisconsin brings him in as not like a bad flyer to take, a guy with some eligibility, but no question to me the idea was him not playing this year. That's why you got Billy Edwards. He's just not super advanced right now in reading defenses. He's got 5 interceptions to 5 touchdowns, and some of them are pretty bad, where he just doesn't see like the underneath linebacker. He throws on anticipation and it gets picked off. Not a super strong arm either. He attempts 1 deep ball against, I guess 2. He hit 1 okay. The other one he way underthrows in the game against Alabama that I charted. He is not super fast or athletic, but they do run him a decent bit. That's a part of the offense. It obviously was going to be with Billy Edwards. We remember him running a lot against Michigan, so they've still got that in there. But he scrambles probably too much as a crutch. If what he sees isn't open, then he'll just kind of take off, and it's not a huge weapon. But at the same time, the pass protection is so poor that it's also hard for a young guy like him to really get acclimated when there's as much pressure as there's been this season so far.
So, according to PFF, he's been pressured on 44% of his dropbacks this year. And it actually seems worse than that, because it was 58% against Maryland, which is Maryland. And also, his average depth of target on the 13 passes where he was kept clean was 4. So is he actually being kept clean, or is it just a 3-step drop where the ball's out before anyone can actually get to him?
I didn't chart the Maryland game, but the Alabama tape from pass protection was so bad. And, the unfortunate thing about it is you come into this season and Wisconsin's OL was supposed to be decent. And it's kind of a few things are going on there. Their left tackle, Riley Mahlman, who was on draft radars. You look at his charting for previous 2 years, he was mid-70s grade on PFF. He's sitting in the low 60s right now and is giving up sacks, giving up pressure. So he's regressed. And then you have the center, Jake Renfro. He gets rolled up on in the Alabama game, kind of soldiers through off and on in that game, but then doesn't play against Maryland. He's questionable for the Michigan game. His 2 backups, Kerry Kadenko and Ryan Corey, they just can't play at all. Can't even get hands on interior rushers, can't snap the football. And then the right side of the line, even if you had everyone healthy on the left side in the middle, the right side was a disaster against Alabama. We put a Cyan on Cubberly, the right guard, very close to a Cyan on Mandel, the right tackle. It's really, really bad on the offensive line right now. And maybe if they can get the center back and you get the bye week to kind of learn a few things that can get smoothed out. But the first 4 games of tape is really rough.
Well, they're all freshmen. They're all redshirt freshmen. Ryan Corey's a redshirt freshman. Cubberly, Mandel, Malman's a 5th-year senior, and then Jake Brunner's been around for a while. But this is what happens. Brian's talking about the cost of transitioning to a different offense, right? Well, now they transition back. They bring Jeff Grimes in from Kansas, right? And they're going to be like, okay, let's go do the Wisconsin things. Well, it's not like you can snap your fingers and become Wisconsin again. They spend a long time developing those lines. They'd always have, like, Bo Benjawell coming up as like a redshirt junior before they played him, right? And then once they had those guys, they could plug them in, and they'd been practicing together, and they all been doing the same things together. And this is like... No, these guys most of them are not 5 stars or 4 stars. Most of them are just, the players that they could get in the middle of a, quasi coaching transition because no one trusted the Wisconsin program. And that was, that's who they've got. So they're trying to do Wisconsin things because Danny O'Neal can't throw downfield, right? He's a pop gun arm. I think that's already established, and they can't really stretch because these guys are freshmen, and they can't really power because these guys are freshmen. So I don't think they can do anything. They're 89th in S&P. Maryland's defense looks really good, the fancy stats, but I don't know. I don't know if we're believers in Maryland. If it's like that's what you got right now. You picked a star, but I couldn't pick one when I was going over it.
Yeah, I mean, I gave the tight end Lance Mason the star, but it's just like someone's gotta, right? Someone has to be the danger man in the piece. But coming into the season, the concern was the skill positions, that they weren't really great at wide receiver. And running back, Dylan Jones was one of the higher-rated running backs Wisconsin ever signed. He was like top 100-ish. And so far, I'm not really seeing a ton. But again, the blocking isn't really there. Him or Darian Dupree, the other running back, you can generally see, even if blocking is poor, you can see ability to make one guy miss or drag tacklers forward. I don't really see that with those guys. The rushing stats have been disastrous so far this season. And those wide receivers, Tretch Kekahuna, the slot receiver, great name. They give him jet sweeps and end arounds and throw to him a little bit out of the slot. They're outside guys. Vinny Anthony is okay, I guess, but there just doesn't. This was already, the skill positions were going to be the question with this offense back when we thought the OL would be decent and the quarterback would be Billy Edwards. Now the quarterback's not Billy Edwards and the OL is a catastrophe. So that's how you end up 89th in SP+.
Right.
Well, I mean, they brought in this Davis Heinzen guy from Central Michigan, and, you know, he has a lot of experience. He was a 3-year starter at Central, but he was not good. Like, his pass blocking grades from PFF are 48, 38, and 45. And this was the guy that they started at left tackle against Miami of Ohio, and then he couldn't pass block, and they were like surprised by this. So I'm just not sure that they have really anybody except Renfro, and if Renfro's not able to go, and I'm not sure he's going to play in this game because this Heinzen guy, he's been a left tackle his whole career. They're playing him at center this week in practice. So that just seems like complete desperation to me, because this guy really has no business being anywhere near a Big Ten offensive line. And you're going to move him mid-season to center and hope it works. Like, this feels unrecoverable for Wisconsin. Like, it just feels like their line is a disaster, and it's going to be a disaster the whole year, and you can't fix it.
It sure seems rough. I mean, moving a tackle to center seems like a bad idea, but if you watched Kadenko and Corey play at center, you'd get the idea of why they're trying something else. It just doesn't seem like they have any answers here.
You know, the one concern I have really is Wink, because we've seen him go up against offenses like this before that have nothing that they can just dink and dunk, right? Like Fresno State or New Mexico this year, he did a little bit of this where he's going to bring 5 regardless, even if, you know, you're just destroying them on the interior. So, you know, are they going to move the ball at all? Probably, because we probably can't help ourselves. And they're, you know, Michigan's going to, Wink's going to wink. I don't think that there's any way to stop it. And that's going to be how they move the ball. As far as, you know, can they get a shot downfield or anything? Like, no.
As long as it's 5, I think I'm okay with that, right? Like, you do want to give them some different looks and give them some opportunity to not pick up a blitz. You know, I just don't want to see any cover 0 in this game. Like, what would the point be?
Yeah. I'm more concerned about, like, he should not rush 5 on passing downs. There will be passing downs. Just sit back and tackle these guys. There's no reason to try to blitz them down in those situations. Sometimes, sure, but he's been rushing 5 or more, I think, on 80% of passing downs. And he's worse on passing downs.
80%?
Yes. So, and he's worse on passing downs now than he's been even last year. So, this is a problem. And we'll get into it with the UFR thing, but like there are definitely patterns with Wink now that just needs to not do that so much anymore, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so is the high level overview here is that we're going to play a MAC offense. Like, this is a MAC offense.
Yeah.
And not like a good one.
Close to it.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break, come back and talk about the more interesting part of the Wisconsin Badgers.
Since 2001, Underground Printing has been the Ann Arbor original. Starting from a West Quad dorm room and growing into the go-to source for custom apparel and Michigan gear. Whether you're gearing up for game day or creating custom design for your team or business, Underground Printing has you covered. With 3 convenience stores right on campus, getting your hands on high-quality Wolverine gear has never been easier. Visit Underground Printing today, in-store or online at shop.undergroundprinting.com. shop.undergroundshirts.com, where Michigan pride meets top-notch service.
Texas! Hey, it's Nick Hopwood, CFP and founder at Peak Wealth Management. You can learn more at peakwm.com/mgoblog. You'll definitely never hear me screaming boomer sooner. You probably won't see me wearing cowboy boots like the co-eds in Norman. And I don't have any good hot takes like the Sklar brothers. However, my team of CFPs and I are experts at handling beneficiary IRAs. If your parents passed away and left you an IRA, we need to help change the investments to match your goals instead of how your parents had it. If your parents were 80 and you're 50, you probably have different investment objectives. And watch out for the required minimum distributions. Those RMDs are tricky. We now have the 10-year rule for emptying the IRA, so taxes can be a huge problem. Sit down with my team of CFPs, Jim, Preston, and myself. We can put together a plan which works for you. Get your second opinion at peakwm.com/mgoblog.
Need help with insurance? Well, longtime MGoBlog supporter Owen Rosen is back at his new insurance brokerage, Royal Oath Insurance Group. Owen might not be the knowledge, but he and his team have the life, business, car, and home insurance knowledge you need. Based in Michigan, but they can also help in other states too, you can call or text Owen today at 586-229-1026 or visit Royal Oath, that's OATH, insurance.com. Winewood Organics is Ann Arbor's only cannabis microbusiness. It's a place where plants are grown in living soil, where nearly every product is made, mixed, trimmed, and packed by hand, where first-time customers save 25% on everything from old-school hash to live resin carts. You can find them just west of downtown or at winewoodorganics.com. Winewood Organics, a place where the weed is better.
Long Road Distillers ready-to-drink canned cocktails are made for Michigan game days. Our lavender lemonade is crafted with our own vodka, real ingredients, and an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. No corners cut, no shortcuts taken. Distilled and canned in Grand Rapids, it's ready for the tailgate, the stands, or your post-game celebration. So whether you're gearing up for the game, raising a can in victory, or charting for the next UFR, take the long road. Made in Michigan, for Michigan.
I'm a coin slot in a payphone, an obsolete dial tone, a busy line when no one's home.
Welcome back to MGoRadio 11.5. Got it right, I hope. Who cares? We now turn our attention to the Wisconsin defense, which has been, one unit is pretty good. They're number one in the country in rush yards allowed per game, third in yards per carry, and 12th in EPA per rush. So even if you don't believe in raw stats like we don't, they've still been very good this year. They have two very intimidating defensive ends, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, Daryl Peterson is the guy who's been around a while at Wisconsin. He redshirted the year that Michigan played Wisconsin back in 2021, and then he's been a contributor for the last few years there. He's pretty good. Had some good pass rushes against Maryland, some activity in the run game. And then Mason Rieger on the other side, Louisville transfer. He's fine. Those two guys are pretty solid, but they don't play all the time. They rotate those edges quite a bit. They rotated tackle as well. But I would say the edge position is probably the strength of the defense at the moment.
So it kind of leaps out that neither Alabama nor Maryland was able to do anything on the ground against these guys. But Ty Simpson did pass for 13 yards in attempt against the Badgers.
So this is the interesting thing. I charted the Maryland game, but when I was watching the Maryland game, I came across those run defense stats. After watching the first half of the Maryland game, I was just like, this is the number one run defense in the country? Because Maryland, the first half of the game is they established a 17-point lead. They run for about 4 yards per carry. There were some stuffs in there, but there were also some chunks in there. And then in the second half of the game, after Maryland was up a lot, then they're just kind of running into the pile, and Wisconsin shuts them down more. But I didn't come away from that game super impressed with Wisconsin's run defense. Like they were solid, don't get me wrong, much better than Nebraska, obviously. But they didn't like totally dominate Maryland in the first half of that game. And then the second half, it was more lopsided. The thing I kind of had to take away with is watching Alabama and Maryland is like those are not offenses that are super similar to Michigan in terms of how they want to establish the run. Like the Maryland offense, they called 2-to-1 pass to run against FAU. And the Alabama offense, we know Kalen DeBoer was at his best with a vertical passing attack that wasn't particularly great at running the ball at Washington. So I just don't know if those two offenses are great comps for Michigan in the way Michigan wants to run it and the amount they want to run it. And on the flip side with the Alabama game, I didn't really think their pass coverage was awful, but Ty Simpson just had a great game. Like he was dropping dimes, fitting balls in there. And so I just came away from some of these games feeling like Michigan is going to have a different approach to offense than what Wisconsin has played so far.
My takeaway on this is, first of all, Mike Tressel, which, you remember him as D'Antonio's defensive coordinator. You remember quarters. You remember the way that they play, right? They're going to man up. They're going to try to bring a safety down, and then you can throw behind the safeties. And I think there were a couple of plays I remember just from the Maryland game where they got receivers behind the safeties and chucked it up and hit a guy downfield. And that's where a lot of the efficiency comes from. A lot of the inefficiency of their opponents against the run game, I think comes from the state of the games, right? Like Maryland got up, and then Maryland was just like, let's chew this game away. So now you can step down. Now they're not really trying to hit downfield anymore. And then Alabama was the same thing. Alabama was a blowout right away, and then they just kind of ran the ball into stacked boxes. And Wisconsin is definitely going to give you stacked boxes. They're going to bring down those safeties. They're going to, play 9 in the box if they have to. They're going to have safeties in charge of run lanes, right? And that puts them in a position where you can run by them. Ideally, I would love to see Bryce Underwood just completely unleashed in this game. I'd love to see him hitting Samaj downfield. I want to see. We've had a couple weeks now. We're mid-season. We're not early season anymore. Let's take the leash off of Bryce and see what we can do against the secondary.
I guess my counterpoint to that is the way you lose this game is by turning the ball over a lot. Because how many points is Wisconsin going to score? Is it going to be double digits? I think that would be an upset. So to me, I'm just kind of rolling out the same game plan against Nebraska, and it's not going to get you as many yards on the ground. But there's no threat from the opposing offense. So this seems like another. You get your waggles in, you get your occasional shots, but I think it's still going to be pretty buttoned up from Michigan. So, it could be a little bit of a frustrating slog, but given the two teams in this game, I just don't see a reason to risk it with a freshman quarterback.
The point about the deep shots is a good one because that's been an issue for them this year. They gave up 2 long passes against Maryland, a 62-yarder and a 48-yarder, I believe. And Wisconsin is missing probably the best player on their defense, Preston Zachman, the safety. He's already been ruled out for this game. So they're playing Matthew Young, who was a D3 transfer from Bethel University. He's still acclimating to this level of football and has been a problem spot for them. And he got beat over the top twice in that game, and they gave up some more vertical passing against Alabama. I would take a few shots just to see what you can find there at that level. Besides that, linebackers, not the greatest in coverage. Tackett Curtis is not particularly good. Christian Allegrio is okay, but that's where the weakness has been. So I look for some tight ends in that intermediate range. The funny thing about the Maryland game, though, is I was looking at them for the similarities with Michigan. They have a freshman quarterback. They roll him out a decent bit. There were some similarities there. Unfortunately, Maryland had at least 4 drops in that game, egregious drops on just short stuff in the flats.
There are similarities there as well.
Right. Fortunately, that won't be a problem for us.
It was brutal watching that game. And so if a few of those guys hold on to the balls, then Maryland could have had even a much better day than they already had against this defense.
And the cornerbacks are just guys. If we can even give them that designation as just guys, they just don't have any athletes in that secondary except for the safety who's not playing this week.
Yeah, Ricardo Hallman was supposed to be pretty good and hasn't been this year. And they lost a projected starter, Nizia Forakareen, to NCAA eligibility thing. He is ineligible to play this season on a decision that was released only a few weeks ago. So that's pushed Dione Hill into action, a Miami transfer. I would say Hallman's probably weaker of the two, but definitely gettable there. The Florida one.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Important context.
that
Yeah.
Miami, not that
Yes.
Miami. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are gettable guys at the corner for sure.
I mean, it feels to me like an old Michigan State defense. Remember where they just had those great defensive tackles and like a couple good edges and some lug at linebacker that you can, if you run someone across, you're just gonna like open up yards against that guy. I mean, that's
Cal Halladay.
Yeah, Cal Halladay. Yes, exactly. Like Christian Aliagro, that's him, right? And Tackett Curtis, like he played in USC secondary. Like he's not. He's a slow kind of guy too. So I mean, those dagger routes that we used to throw against Michigan State that were so open, and that was all that stuff's going to be on the table because that's who they are. This is like a late D'Antonio Michigan State team.
Well, you are going to have to take some shots over the top just to loosen those safeties up because it's going to be a tough slog if those guys are making contact with the running back at the line of scrimmage, and they're going to have run responsibilities. So
exactly. And I mean, from the meta perspective, like let's see some things from Underwood. You're home. This is a game that you're probably going to win. You have some big games coming up. You have some big goals on the horizon, and also it'd be nice to just kind of show people that we have a passing game, right? Like how much better would you feel in recruiting and everything if this week we just have 350 yards of passing. It's like, okay, look, we can do this now. And Samaj Morgan gets a 120-yard game, and it's not like all after the catch. Like that'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, given what we've seen from Sharon Moore thus far in his career as a head coach, that guy's going to play it buttoned up. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot Daddy's back.
Yeah. Special teams.
They ran a kickoff back against Alabama for a touchdown, I believe. So that's all I have there.
Yeah, Vinny Anthony can kick. Vinny Anthony's been a pretty good kick returner for a while. He doesn't return them unless he wants to. The opposite is true of Tyler Henry, the former Michigan State player who returns their punts, and he catches everything and tries to return everything. So he's a weird punt returner.
All right. Do we have a score prediction, Alex?
I think Michigan probably won't drive up and down the field a ton, but some turnovers will give them some short fields, and I'll go 31-7.
Jeez. Steph.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 30-20, and it's gonna be like one of those. Wait. But their last touchdowns are both gonna be in the fourth quarter after it's been long over.
I think I got 25-4.
All right.
I just don't see it happening for that offense, especially if Billy Edwards doesn't play. All right, we're gonna take a break, come back, and talk to Jason Squire.
If you grew up in Michigan like me, you were a Pistons fan. We always hated the Bulls and Michael Jordan, but we were super jealous of their starting lineup introductions with the music and the lights turned off. But then I grew up and realized how awesome Jordan was. And in 2016, when Michigan was the first school to wear a Jordan brand, then Jordan was on the field as honorary captain for the first game, and I've never cheered louder, except when Jaden Milroe was stuffed on 4th and goal at the Rose Bowl.
In motion, long snap, Milroe stopped! Michigan makes a stand!
Hey, it's Nick Hopwood, Certified Financial Planner with Peak Wealth Management. I want to introduce you to our new PCS program, Private Client Services, where our fees will now include your annual tax prep costs and getting your estate plan set up. Our clients love that their investments, financial plan, taxes, and estate plan are all tied together with us as the lead. If you're looking for a second opinion, please reach out to us at peakwm.com/mgoblog today.
Hi, this is Pete with Sharon's Heating and Air Conditioning. You've probably noticed that we are terrible about keeping our podcast advertisements up to date and topical to Michigan sports, probably because we're so busy doing preventative maintenance for all of our many happy customers. We know no one is excited to call their HVAC contractor, And to make that a rare occurrence, you should regularly maintenance your system. Call us or text us to find out more about the benefits of our preventative maintenance plans, including savings on service calls and priority scheduling. Whatever the season, we want you to be comfortable for that next glorious Michigan victory.
Hey, fellow Michigan fans, this is Matt Demarest, Realtor and Lender. For a decade now, you've heard me on the podcast talk about mortgages, and I've helped hundreds of fellow Michigan fans in that capacity, including Brian and Seth. But many of you don't know I'm a real estate broker as well. I promise to make buying, selling, or financing homes simple and cost-effective anywhere in the state of Michigan. Whether you're upsizing, downsizing, buying a vacation home, or building a real estate investment portfolio, send me a text or give me a call. It's never too early to make a plan, and the call is always free. My number is 734-882-8194. Again, 734-882-8194. Or you can find me online at realtorandlender.com. That's realtorandlender.com. Whether you want to buy, sell, or finance a home, or even all three, I promise to provide the experience so many of you have come to expect over the years. And as always, thank you, and go blue. NMLS 1011726, Equal Housing Lender.
In southeastern Michigan, the yearly cost for a nursing home averages
approximately $100,000.
It doesn't have to, though. Reed McCarthy founded Ann Arbor Elder Law after handling a tricky situation for his own family. Years of experience later, his boutique firm works with clients across southeast Michigan, dealing with Medicaid planning, long-term care, and tax, disability, and family law, not to mention family dynamics. If you have a family member who may need that level of care, or if you're ready to start your own estate plan, Reed can give you a plan for the future. Visit AnnArborElderLaw.com or call 734-945-9693. That's 734-945-9693.
The morning was the sun that filled me up. Then a peek around the corner to a coast in the clear. Armageddon swung the fist to hit us.
Welcome back to MGoRadio 11.5. We now welcome in Jason Squire. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great. I'm walking the streets of Ann Arbor, Michigan in the ramp up to a super fun football weekend and comedy weekend here. It's just the vibes are great, boys. All the way around. Vibes are great. Tigers in the playoffs. Michigan rolling off a bye week. I'm eating a big fat bagel with my brother and his two daughters who are at college campus here. Like, what? Is there a better scenario? Alex Drain, I ask you.
Alex?
We're getting,
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Drain, Alex, we're getting you out to a comedy show this weekend. I'm putting my life on it. I want to give you a high five.
Alex's life is a comedy show. It's just all a bundle of energy.
He is, and Alex, I've been loving your write-ups on the show. The blog has been on fire this year. I need to say it. It's been my go-to read. If I've eschewed the news just to get Michigan news from your wonderful blog. You've taken me. There used to be a commercial. Brian probably is even too young to remember this. It was Calgon, Take Me Away.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
MGO blog, take me away, and you do every week. Good work, Alex.
So Jason, when
Thanks.
you're back in town, like, are there spots that you make sure to hit up?
Yeah, but there's like new spots, and that's what we're sort of learning through. Like Randy said to his daughters, "Where do you want to go for lunch?" And they're like, "There's this place called Bo's Bagels, which is like Bo as in Bo, I believe Schembeckler is his name, and it's."
Yeah, you can't have an
and
Ann Arbor store called Bo, Beau, right? Like,
it's Bo Burnham's new store. It's fantastic. No, it's a bagel shop, and it's packed with people. And I'm like, this was not here when we were here. And just the vibes. I see underground printing right across the street. It's on Southview, and I'm like, I like those guys. They've been supporting this show before Bo's Bagels was even an idea. And someone said, "Am I right?"
That's true, yeah.
Brian?
That is
So.
true.
But you know what? It is really, I will say the like energy, and I'm not going to attribute it all to football. The weather is part of it, but the energy among the students is really high and really good. I don't know what your vibes are like or how you guys are feeling going into this game, but it's a good vibe here.
Well, yeah, especially because Wisconsin is pretty down. I mean, what are you
Right.
expecting this weekend?
So what I'm expecting, I think I think their run defense is a little overrated, and I don't expect us to abandon the run at all. But I do feel like if ever we were going to start opening up the playbook for some intermediate passing and some downfield passing, like this is the game to do it. That's my number one. And my number two is we're going to see a lot of man defense from the corners. And when you start sending guys downfield and there's a guy running and chasing them, you know what that leaves? A wide open lane on the outside for Bryce Underwood to run 30 to 40 yards.
Yeah.
With guys with their backs to him. So I think we're going to see some design runs and some scramble runs for big chunk gains. I think their offense seems pretty bad. And so I think our defense is going to get healthy again on these guys. And, you know, in the 35 to 3, I'm thinking something in that range, 35 to 10, something like that.
And then afterwards, you have 2 shows at the Comedy Showcase.
That's right. We have 2 shows. We're doing an event for Michigan tonight, the letter winners. We're hosting this award show tonight at the golf course clubhouse, which is kind of a cool event. I don't know if people can still get in if they want to, but tomorrow night is really the shows that we want to bring people out to. And that's 2 shows at the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase. Only one night. Originally we thought we'd be 2 nights, but it's just one Saturday night. And it's, you know, what can we say? This town is so great for comedy. It's been great for us. We have such old connections to it. We were teaching a comedy class this morning at Michigan, and they asked us how we got started. And part of our origin story of comedy is the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase. And I know Brian got up and did some comedy there back in the day too. And
Back in the day,
back in the day, Roger Feeney still runs the place, and he's been through a lot. Like, you know, he's been through some illness and stuff, and certainly the pandemic was really hard on that place. So just to see that it's survived and he's surviving and we can go back to this place, it's like those shows are always great. I you know, you guys have been out to these shows. The energy is incredible. So that's going to be the icing on the cake after the Michigan game.
And then you guys fly out to Saudi Arabia on Sunday?
That's right. We're at the Riyadh Comedy Festival. You know, just coming in and just want to see if we can. I mean, they offered us $3.7 million. We're just going to come in and be like, hey, guys, I mean, what's the deal with Israel? Observational comedy about the Middle East. I mean, is it where you ever get your mouth stuck in a burqa? All right, it's going to be the worst. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. We weren't even asked. I mean, how bad is that? We didn't even get to turn them down. But it's not happening.
What is the price point for Riyadh? Like how?
So do you want
What's your number?
What's your everyone in comedy's got to have a number now. Yeah.
I mean, I would like to think, since it's not real, I can say with complete certainty that I would turn down everything. But I mean, if you're talking like a few $1 million, I think we'd have to like have a conversation. But honestly, I think the answer is no. I just can't. I mean, I have a million reasons why we can't. Yeah. But I have friends or people we know who we're friends with who are going and doing it. And people who I consider to be like maybe in a similar level as us in the comedy universe. So it is kind of interesting. A friend of ours turned it down for $300,000. And he's, you know, and he definitely could use the money. So it was pretty, I give him credit for that. But it's like NIL, I guess, for comics, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think one interesting part of it is that people are talking about it in the industry. Like you have Marin talking about it, and Shane Gillis, and just like and I think that, you know, there'll be some honest conversations about it, which is something that's really nice about comedy, is that you don't get the kind of corporate, everybody's nice to everybody all the time.
Right. And interesting bedfellows like Marin and Shane Gillis, I wouldn't think as like guys who would be on the same side of any issue really, but here they are both saying like, yeah, this is not in our moral compass. We wouldn't do this. And so I feel like there's something cool about that further says, hey, maybe we're not all so divided on every single issue. And I like that they agreed on this one. So it's kind of cool.
All right, tomorrow night, Squire is at the Comedy Showcase. I will be at the Late Show if you want to say hi.
Come say hi.
you for-
And add, oh, sorry. I was just saying, as we've said before, we met someone at the airport this morning after a red-eye flight. And he said, are you guys from MGO Blog? And we're like, we're not the guys from MGO Blog. We are guys from it. And it's great. It was great. And he said, and we said, well, you know what we're going to ask you. And he was like, I know. And we're like, what is give us your hottest take. And he gave us a take, a pretty solid take. And Randy and I were like, I love you, man. And thank you for giving us the take. And I know that it's 6:53 in the morning. But you didn't do the voice. So I can't accept your take.
Oh yeah, you gotta do the voice.
So come to us at this comedy show, MGO Bloggers. Come to us after the show, at the table afterwards. We'll be out there shaking hands, saying hi to people, and selling merch. When you're out there, come give us your hottest take about this season.
Do the voice.
But you got to do the voice, my man. Or woman, please come do the voice. We want to see you guys out there.
All right, thanks, Jason. We're gonna take a break.
All
come
right,
back
boys.
and talk about some hockey.
I can't believe I'm doing this. If you find yourself in the penalty box, you want a Michigan man arguing your case, call criminal law attorney and former prosecutor Jonathan Paul tonight. It's 248-924-9458, or visit his old website at michiganlograd.com. Whether you just lost a tooth on the field, chipped one at a tailgate, or it's just time to get those wisdom teeth out, Radicke Oral Surgery has you covered. Trusted by Celine and Ann Arbor families for 25 years, the Radicke Oral Surgery team treats every patient like family, and they accept most major dental insurance plans. We're going to have a lot of reasons to smile this year, so make sure that thing is ready. So when it's time to replace or remove a tooth, call up the team that always converts. Visit drradicke.com to schedule, drradecki.com.
The only thing we can be sure of about the future is that it will be absolutely fantastic. I'm thinking of the incredible breakthrough made possible by developments in communications.
Arthur C. Clarke's 1964 vision is now reality with Signalwire, a cloud platform that enables developers to build the applications that will reshape the future of communications.
These things will make possible a world in which we can be in instant contact with each other wherever we may be.
You can add cutting-edge, real-time video and audio to any product, website, or application with APIs and SDKs for developers of all skill sets. Signalwire is optimized for high quality and low latency communication functionality for video, voice, and text messaging capabilities.
Almost any skill could be made independent of distance. Men will no longer commute, they will communicate.
See for yourself at signalwire.com. Use code 2021 and receive $25 in developer credit. Go to signalwire.com.
Signalwire Communications OGs, original geeks of programmable communication.
Frustrated with your current e-commerce agency? Then it's time to meet Human Element, a digital marketing and web development agency with 20 years of experience building B2B and B2C websites. See us as an extension of your team, accessible, responsive, and strategic. We work with you to understand your goals so that we can build something that drives revenue and delights your customers. So if you're looking for an agency that acts as a true partner in your e-commerce business, visit human-element.com/partner. We can't wait to work with you.
It's the time of year where cracks in your defense get exposed. Good thing to fix is a phone call away. Community Pest Solutions is a lockdown defender for homes and businesses. If you're hearing noises in your walls or attic or dealing with bug problems, it's time to call Community. To schedule an inspection, just Google Community Pest Solutions or hit up their website at pestfreemi.com.
Like a neon rose, the sonic mission, a collision.
Welcome back to MGoRadio 11.5. Thanks to Marcus, the Apex Predator, for the music this week. We now turn our attention to hockey. Michigan gets their season underway tonight against Mercyhurst. It's a seismic year in all of college hockey. CHL players are now eligible. Michigan picked up 3 or 4, or actually 5, isn't it? And Gavin McKenna's at Penn State. Hayden Lindstrom's at Michigan State. It's going to be a fascinating year in college hockey. Alex just finished previewing the season for the site. How you feeling about the season, Alex?
Pretty good, I think. This should be
that was the highest sound you've ever made. I'm sorry.
I don't know why that was so amusing, but it was. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not like a super team roster like we had for a few years there, but I think it's definitely an improved roster on last year. I like what they did in rebuilding the defense and different mix of forwards and drafted goalie, which is nice. So this should be a good team, and it should get back in the tournament.
So Michigan, we'll start with the goalie, Jack Ivankovic. Is that how you pronounce it?
I pronounce it Ivankovic, but I don't know officially.
Well, we'll figure it out. Second round pick in Nashville. I think he was the top goalie in this draft, correct?
No, he was like 3rd or 4th.
Well, in any case, Michigan has a highly touted goalie for the first time in a minute here. They've been kind of patching it together and haven't gotten great performances, except for, Portillo had a couple decent years there. But so Michigan's save percentage was not great a year ago. This guy is only 5'11", but he's super quick, and I'm sure that Michigan went after him with abandon.
Yeah, and that's sort of why Cam Corpy isn't here anymore. Corpy played well in the second half of last year, but he never was able, by the time he was about to seize the job, then he was injured, and he wasn't there for the biggest weekends of the season. So in the end, Logan Stein played 23 of 36 games for Michigan, which is why the save percentage baseline wasn't great. This should represent an improvement of some amount. It's kind of hard to know because we haven't seen Ivankovic play in college. He's not a big guy, and so that's different from Portillo in terms of size, but I don't really care too much about that, especially not at the college level. We remember Devon Levi at Northeastern. He was a very small goalie. He was the best goalie in the country there for a couple of years. Trey Augustine isn't a big guy. He's had some success at MSU. So size-wise, no real concern.
He's not Hunwick small. He's just small.
No, it's small for NHL size.
Yeah.
5'11".
We're not trashing small goalies around here. Not on my watch.
There's only 1 or 2 sub-6 foot goalies in the NHL anymore. And Nashville employs the most famous, so that is interesting. And they drafted Ivankovic, but he didn't have a great final year at the CHL. Brampton was supposed to be a really good team, and then they kind of belly flopped. But he then went to the U18s with Team Canada and played really well there. That shored up his draft stock. He should be pretty solid, and it's his net. Stephen Peck, they bring in as the backup. He was a 1B tandem goalie in the USHL, not really a star there. So this will be Ivankovic's show, and hopefully he's pretty good.
The defense core is almost entirely rebuilt. Tyler Duke, Dakota Rayo Mullen, and Hunter Haiti returned from last year's also Fantilli. But they bring in Henry Muse from the CHL, Matthew Mania, also from the CHL, Ben Robertson from Cornell, and then they have 2 drafted freshmen in Drew Schock and Asher Barnett. This roster has 10 defensemen on it. That's too many defensemen. That's 11. Jesus.
11. Yes.
So who's actually going to play here?
Well, Miles Gust is still on the team, but he's just there for vibes. Not really going to play. Josh Arico, it's hard to see a path to playing time. So you're looking at probably 9. The guys that will play, Duke for sure, Robertson for sure, Mania, Muse. I would assume those are your top 4 guys. I think they fit together pretty stylistically because Muse and Mania are known as more offensive guys, transition defensemen. Those will probably be your top 2 power play unit guys. I would guess Muse is probably on the top power play unit. He was the 3rd highest scoring defenseman in the OHL, higher draft pick. He's probably viewing this season as a one and done to then sign with Calgary. He's already 19. And so those 2 guys, I think you split them on separate pairs, put them with Robertson and Duke. And I think that's a really solid top 4 there because all those guys are experienced. Robertson's a junior. Duke is a senior. Muse and Mania played at least 3 years in the CHL. Shouldn't be a lot of inexperience there. And you probably put Luka on the 3rd pair, I would guess. He's wearing a letter. He's a senior. He's played almost every game for 3 years. And so that's where it gets interesting, because Michigan has a bit of a conundrum here with the rest of their defense in that they have more guys than they can really use. And in this era of college hockey, that is a danger spot. And we saw it last year with Christian Humphreys. He didn't play very much, and he bailed in the middle of the season. And so Asher Barnett and Drew Schock were both NTDP guys. They're both drafted. I don't know, along with DRM, it's going to be an interesting challenge for the staff to keep these guys involved, because the OHL is sitting right there as an opportunity for one of these guys to bolt if you can't get them the playing time that they want. It's a nice luxury to have depth, but you don't have a guaranteed hold on them. These are talented players. Like, I think they should be able to build a good third pair out of this, but the problem may end up being that the one who loses out might end up, not sticking around.
I mean, the surprise to me is that someone didn't read the writing on the wall here. Like Hunter Haiti, I just don't understand. I don't see him being able to get minutes this year at all.
That one is pretty shocking to me that he didn't leave. I'm not going to complain about still having a big guy that's a right shot on the defense, but I just don't see where he would have to become a really good defensive defenseman, imposing with his size and physicality, for that to be in the mix, because otherwise it's a log jam, and I'm really interested to see how they sort through it.
I mean, can you sit Luka even though he's got a C?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they want to do that. I mean, that would be.
I mean, I think you gotta, at least some of the time. I think you have to get Barnett and Schock. These guys are drafted freshmen. You don't want to lose them. I mean, you want them to be around long term. And Schock's a program alum too. I mean, the legacy. I thought Rayo Mullins showed a lot of promise last year. I was surprised he didn't get drafted, but he's very speedy, and he's going to grow into his. I mean, he's 6'1". I think he's a guy who has a long-term future here, and they're going to lose some of these guys. That's no question.
Yeah, I'm hoping that DRM is bulked up a bit in the offseason. He was a little slight last year. He was very young. He played the first half of the season at 17. Kind of got screwed in the draft. It's ridiculous he didn't get picked. He didn't have the best freshman year in terms of what was expected, but he's an NTDP guy with pedigree. Keenan Draper's drafted. It's ridiculous that DRM
Keenan Draper got the 50th round draft pick from his dad, right? So
yes, but DRM played at the NTDP. Usually those guys just get drafted because your name was there, right? And his mother was one of the most famous women's hockey goalies of all time. It's not like he's not a nepo baby either. So
right.
Both of his names are hockey people.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this. But considering last year you basically had 3 defensemen that you could lean on, and then a whole lot of question marks. This year you should have 4, and then ideally not the sort of black hole drop off there was. This is a good problem to have, but it is a problem.
At forward, Michigan has a lot of talent. They did not get Gavin McKenna, but they do get Malcolm Spence from Erie, I believe. They bring in Cole McKinney, who was a second-round pick. TJ Hughes is going to play his senior year, which is a big pickup. Michael Hayes returns. So I think your first line is probably something like Hayes, Horkoff, and maybe Spence. And then the line 2 is Hughes and Shifsky and maybe McKinney. I don't know.
I kind of like McKinney right? McKinney as a third line center, honestly.
Yeah.
Just to kind of just stretch it out. You can slide Jaden Perron in there potentially on one of those top 2 lines. That was a guy from North Dakota who didn't torch the NCAA or the NCHC at North Dakota, but produced about 10 goals a year. That's not nothing. I mean, Hage is one of the big questions with this team. Can he take that next step? He showed a lot of good things last year. Then it kind of trailed off in the second half. If he can get back to producing consistently and then take another step forward, I really like Will Horkoff. I think Malcolm Spence is a nice pickup. They've got some players. Again, it's not like the Harlem Globetrotters thing, but there are enough talented guys that this should be a solid offense. And I think where they have an opportunity to grow is in the types of goals that they score. This is a more well-rounded group of forwards. They don't have that issue of the past where everyone is 5'9" and you're just kind of small and leaning heavily on skill, because Spence is a bigger guy, 6'2" with bulk. McKinney's on the 6'1"-ish. Park is 6'1" or 6'2". You add in Teddy Spitznagel for a fourth line option at 6'3". they should be able to get to the hard areas a little bit better and not have as much problem with teams like Western Michigan that can just kind of bully them from a size standpoint. And maybe a little more of a forecheck team, a little more north-south, not as much in the rush perhaps. But I like this variety, and it should allow them to build at least 3 strong lines, I think, with the versatility they have. They have guys who can play wing or center, can move some pieces around. I think the line blender will be firing during the first half of the year, and then hopefully by Christmas you have things a little more settled.
It feels like
what
one
are
of
we
those.
expecting out of Adam Valentini? Like this is his draft year. He was, he had about 40 points as an underager in the USHL a year ago. So, I mean, he's a guy who was super hyped up when he committed. I think, has his star fallen a little bit, or is he just playing up?
No, I don't think his star's fallen. I think he's still projected as a first rounder, not like a top of the first round guy, but still on that track. This is a curious decision to me. I'm not sure why exactly. Peter wrote the hello on him and kind of framed it as his camp views this as a 3-year process, and that he's going to be Michigan this year and then the 2 you usually get after the draft. And they believe in Michigan's development path as being the best thing for him. Maybe if he went to Kitchener, which is who had drafted him, they were outraged that he reneged on that commitment. He definitely would play more than he's probably going to play at Michigan, although they don't have enough forwards, so he'll play.
Yeah, they only have 13 forwards, so he's going to play.
Yeah, it's more about higher in the lineup, really get PP1 and that kind of thing. I just don't know if he's going to be ready, honestly. He's playing
for him, he's a guy who, he's young, he's a little undersized. Power play is the part of the game where he should be able to function just fine, right?
In theory.
Go ahead.
But Michigan's going to have some pieces, right? Like Hage, Hughes, Horkoff, and a defenseman are already on that unit. No question about it. So then it's, can he beat out Malcolm Spence? Can he beat out a McKinney or, whoever? Jaden Perron is a good power play guy. That's not easy. And he's going to have to beat them out at 17. And he's not a fall birthday 17 like Quinn Hughes and Fantilli was, and even DRM being in December. He's in April of 08. He will not play a single game this year at 18, unless Michigan, I guess, makes the national title game or something. But that's really young. And the number of guys that played at that age is a very limited sample. Werenski is the only one I can really remember doing it at Michigan. Celebrini did it a few years ago. Different caliber of prospect. And Valentini's production in the USHL does not suggest this is a guy that has to be in college or anything. So I'm a little skeptical he'll be really ready for prime time. But maybe it is the best thing for his development. Maybe getting that practice time against this caliber of competition is good for him. I'm not sure. He's the biggest wild card on this team, no question. And I think him versus Nick Moldenauer is really interesting in terms of who can kind of seize a job, because both guys have lots of questions about how they'll be able to perform, but either both will be in the lineup or one will be in the lineup, depending on how they use Spitznagel. But we'll see what happens there.
Well, here's something. Shouldn't they move a defenseman to forward this year? They have 13 forwards. They have 11 defensemen. They're going to be scratching one guy every night, and with injuries and whatnot, there's going to be situations where, you're talking about situations where you're not going to be able to ice a full lineup of forwards. So, I mean, is it crazy to look at a guy like Braille Mullen and say, do you want to play on the fourth line, or do you want a healthy scratch tonight?
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible they could do that. I don't know how many of the defensemen on the team will be that interested in it. In theory, the guys that are best suited are your offensive guys, but you don't want to move Muse or Mania. So then maybe a Shocker Barnett or DRM potentially, I guess, as you mentioned. Hunter Haiti just doesn't have the mobility to really do it. And Arico's not big enough. Gust isn't really a player at this level of hockey.
Arico and Gust are just kind of on the roster. I'm talking about the guys
Sure.
who could chip in. I mean, Barnett is a guy who I wouldn't put it past him. I'll just say that.
I think they could do it. Michigan isn't going to ask these guys to play center. They've got enough centers. So wing isn't that hard to play. It's just from those guys, especially a Burnett or Schock, they were drafted. They've played this position a while. If this isn't like a DRM, I guess, is your best argument in the sense of this guy who his draft stock plummeted. Maybe you make the argument if this is how you kind of reinvent yourself. But a guy like a Schock or Barnett are not necessarily coming in here thinking oh, I've got to move to a new position to save my career or something. That
Sure.
is kind of the concern, or what would be the hindrance to that argument.
I mean, the NHL used to love guys who could do that. I mean, I don't know if that's
There's not many of them. There's not many of them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it used to make it so much easier back when rosters were another guy short. But that's kind of the position. That's if you were going to have someone do that, I think it would be somebody like Raymond Mullen who needs to make a case to the NHL, right? Like that I have skills. I mean, just get a few goals on his list and get them interested in it again, right? Like that's the kind of thing I don't. Like you said, Rico's not really into it. I don't see Tyler Duke moving at this stage in his career.
No. I mean, we're not talking about guys who are going to be on your top 2 pairs.
Yeah.
Talking about guys who are down the roster. All right. Where does Michigan finish in the Big Ten?
I don't know. This is interesting. It's a really talented conference. Penn State should be pretty good. MSU is in a mega roster year again. After that, Wisconsin was a good possession team last year, and then they didn't have goaltending. Now they might have a goalie from the CHL. Notre Dame is still probably rebuilding, but I think they'll be better. Minnesota, I think, is probably going to drop off a bit. They lost all of their top guys, and then who am I missing here? Ohio State. I mean, they're always just depends on what overagers they got and that kind of thing. I'll say third for Michigan. I think this team is better than probably those other teams besides Penn State and Michigan State, and I would think the Big Ten will put probably at least 4 teams in the tournament again. So it'll be a meat grinder of a league, and that's why I'm glad they scheduled Mercyhurst and Robert Morris to give them a few easy weekends to start, because you got that the conference schedule, and then you also have Western later on in the non-con.
What does New Notre Dame look like?
It'll be tough. Well, so Jeff Jackson retired. They got Brock Sheahan as their new coach. He's a really well-regarded young coach. He retooled the roster a bit, but they were so bad last year that the baseline is probably not where it needs to be to make the tournament this year. I'm curious to see if they're still going to be more of a defensively minded team or how they're shaking up the program with the new coach. That's the question I have with them.
All right. Well, thank you, Alex. Michigan should get back to the tournament this year, you expect?
Yeah. I mean, last year's team, they had all these issues, right? They had the starting goalie got injured, the Tim Lovell bailed, the Humphreys thing. There were so many things with that team, and they were still the first team out of the picture. So you don't have to improve that much to jump in. This team should definitely be better.
All right. Well, Mercyhurst tonight, Wisconsin tomorrow, Squires in the evening. See you guys.
Boris is a mayor and a land surveyor with plans of his own. He hates a Ruska, he hates a vodka, bandit from his home. He hates a Ruska, vodka, he never drank a single drop. He hates a